Alright, and welcome back to part 2 of the level 4 Angel Extravaganza mission in Armageddon with cruise missiles and drones. Already in the system, we are going to fight angels, a nice amount of mission rewards and loyalty points, and of course a lot of mission loot and bounties to collect in various rooms with various spawns. Let's get into the mission.
Drive active.
And this is a really nice test for this Tech 1 fitted Armageddon. Of course I have higher skills, but still I have this handicap with only using the Tech 1, which you also will be using with the lower player skills. So if I can run it easy, then you should be able to do it too, if you keep your head cool. I'll turn on my wrappers and armor hardeners because this setup is cap stable, so I don't need to worry about turning it off and on every time in the mission. And as with many of the missions, they start with an acceleration gate. Before we get in, basically one of the battleships in each spawn triggered the next wave, accompanied by some cruisers, battle cruisers, and some frigates. So the best thing you can do, especially if you're running this mission the first time, is don't shoot the battleships. First use light drones to take care of the frigates and the destroyers, while you're using cruise missiles on the cruisers and battle cruisers first. Once the frigates and cruisers are gone, then focus your attention on the battleships. This way you make sure that you don't get overwhelmed by additional spawns adding up your incoming damage that you need to tank. Once you get more confident and get more experience, you can play around with it, but this is my part of good advice to keep you alive the first time, or at least increase your chances to survive. Okay, let's get in.
Drive active.
So first frigates and cruisers, and as last the battleships. While we are engaging, we'll just approach the next acceleration gate to 0 and start to lock up the cruisers and the battleships. I will just release the light drones first. Put the cruise missiles on the cruisers and the drones on the webifying NPCs. They will try to slow you down, doesn't matter, they will go down. So here goes the first frigates, there goes the next, and once this second frigate is out of the playfield, cruise missiles are taking on the cruisers in the meantime. Next cruiser, this frigate should go down, and then I can scoop my small drones, and then we're going to switch to the explosive heavy drones, just for the added damage. There they go. First the cruisers again, just to make sure that we don't getting overwhelmed. Sometimes the drones tend to favor the biggest targets first, but that is basically in your disadvantage if you do that in this case. So always override select this next ship and select engage. That way you focus fire. Let's go to the next battleship. Shield is going down, but that's normal for an armor ship. We're focusing on armor tanking. And as you can see, first battleship is almost down. As you can see, this is the second spawn already. Just first, always finish off the first wave entirely. Don't lock up the rest yet, to avoid getting confused. I will do it anyway because I know it will get put behind here. So I just know first these two, and then I need to focus on the rest. That's the second battleship, almost going toast. And up onto the next one. You can imagine if you trigger the wrong order, you will get overwhelmed with like 10 battleships and a lot of cruisers, and that's way too much to tank, especially if you're in a Tech 1 fitted, low skilled version of this ship. I think it's very doable to make this work happen in the setup that I'm currently using with lower skills. But don't trigger the wrong spawns, because even I have to warp off then. Next is the cruisers, just to make sure that I'm not triggering the next spawn before I get to the battleships. Because those cruisers can add up a nice amount of damage on you. As you can see, armor is holding nicely so far, especially once you reduce the amount of damage coming in. It wraps up back to full. And there is the general. What I usually also do is, especially when I'm running low on ammo, I'm just reloading now, because I know by the time these are down, I don't want to be reloading when the next spawn just pops up. I want to have at least a moderate amount of ammo left. So now I can start engaging again with the missiles too. So far, so good. Quite happy with this. I think the next wave has some very hard frigates that will try to warp scramble you. Always focus on those first. Whatever happens, focus on the warp scrambling frigates first, because you need to be able to warp out if you need to. Nothing worse being warp scrambled and slowly see your ship die because you cannot warp off in time. What I also usually do when I'm not certain what kind of ships will spawn next, I will just scoop my drones, see what spawns, lock up the right ships, and then deploy the right type of drones. Also, just to make sure that they don't start to aggress my drones initially, but focus on me first. It's a play with drones. You will get the hang of it. There are the two Vipers, and I think one of the two is going to scramble me, based on my experience with this mission. So I'll just lock them up. All four, doesn't matter. I'll wait a bit. Yes, there we go. Ooh. One of my drones got some heavy damage there. Well, it should be okay. I will use my cruise missiles also, but they will apply not so good against small ships because they have a large explosion radius, those cruise missiles. So only a very small part of the damage actually hits them. But every bit helps to take them out quickly. Return to drone bay, because I'm going to switch to the heavy ones again. Explosive heavy, nice. Autogress. And because of the modules that increase the drone speeds, you can see they arrive pretty quickly at those NPCs, and that's also important. You need to be able to deal damage as quick as possible to reduce the incoming damage. It's a nice balancing dance. And usually I'm just always keeping my mouse over here. You can also bind shortcuts for returning and attacking drones. But just in case I see some damage coming into the drones, I can quickly right click and select return to scoop or whatever. And then this battleship. So general thing is kill frigates first, then the cruisers to reduce the incoming damage, and then battleships to don't get overwhelmed by the triggers that they have for next spawns. Already setting over return to drone bay because this one is going to die very soon. And this was room 1. This looks really promising, to be honest, because I know the other rooms are comparable. Maybe 1 or 2 spawns more or less, and maybe a ship or 2 more or less. But just let's get into the next one, reload the missiles in the meantime. So we're ready to go once we land. As you can see, just a Tech 1 Armageddon with Tech 1 fitting Tech 1 drones. Imagine with full Tech 2 drones and fitting, it would be a lot easier. And this is basically one in the top 5 of most difficult level 5s out there. So if you can survive this one, basically you can survive all the missions if you keep your head cool and know what you're doing. First let them attack me a bit, so I know for sure that they are focusing on me instead of my drones. There goes the drones. And engage and the missiles on the cruisers in the meantime. Selecting the next destroyer already, because that's how quick it goes. Almost feel sorry for those NPCs. Almost. Return to drone bay, because I need the heavies now. Way more damage. Explosive. I will have it on the next cruiser, because this one will die with the next volley of cruise missiles. And boom. At some point you will learn to smart target and use your missiles and drones on certain targets, because you know how long it will take approximately to take down a target. Just like I'm now deactivating already, so I have assurance that the next cycle will go to this one. But that's experience. You will get there. And as you can see, as long as you keep to the battle plan, you're basically having pretty easy. Just stick to the battle plan. And let's look at the resistances in the meantime. because they have changed, as you can see. This one is now 85 with the reactive armor hardener. Before it was like 60 something, close to 70, now it's 85. So that's the effect of the reactive armor hardener. Very, very useful. Makes your tanks very solid. And return to drone bay. Oh, wasn't needed. It's cruisers and up. I don't need the light drones, but at least they will start to aggress me instead of my drones now. So I'll just wait until the battleships also are having yellow brackets. Yellow brackets means that they have a lock on me, and red brackets means that they are using aggressive modules also. Explosive heavy. I'll put it on the next cruiser. Not in a rush. There we go. And I think I always have to look into the wikis to know which of the two has the trigger, but I should be able to handle two at the same time, to be honest. Two spawns. Especially once the first spawn is already reduced by the amount of ships. So even if the next spawn comes now with one battleship left, I should be fine. Yeah, return to drone bay. First need to focus on these frigates. Just to be sure. And I'm not getting scrambled. I think especially the Viper could be scrambling. The Webifier has a name in it, so I think it will Webify you, if the name says that. What do you think? Keeping an eye open just in case they switch to my light drones, because I only have one set with me, so that's why I'm keeping a strict eye on them. Because I cannot really afford to lose one. Alright. Those are the frigates. I'll focus on the cruisers now to reduce a bit of the damage in the meantime without triggering the next spawn, because those are bound to the battleships. And I know I still have one battleship from the first spawn left, and this should be triggering the next spawn then. Very slight amount of shield damage, but nothing to worry about. I think it was the one that they were attacking first. But since that one got destroyed, it's wrapping back up slowly.
A module has run out of charges.
Out of missiles, no problem. Rather now than at the last battleship. Drone is getting some more damage now. I'll just return them just to make sure. As long as they have yellow brackets, they could be switching. Usually when they have red brackets, they're not switching anymore to your drones. So I think it was this one that was trying to hurt my drones. I'll just launch them again and focus them on this bastard, while the cruise missiles take on the other cruiser. And as you can see, it's holding up nicely. Tech 1 Rapper no armor repair amount rig, no Tech 2 hardeners. Yeah. So you can use it, I'm sure of it. This was the first one that I need to take out first to make sure that I'm not ending up with too many spawns at the same time. Is down there, as if there is up and down in space. So yeah, all looking good. And there goes the last of the next spawn. As you can see, some nice bounties, 500, and they go up to sometimes 1.2 million depending on the type of battleship. But the average is about 500 to 600 per battleship. And if you have 10 of those, well, you can make the calculation yourself. That's a nice amount of bounties. I think Angel Extravaganza gets about 20 mil on bounties alone. And then added with your regular rewards, you can get close to 25 mil for this, only for this mission on bounties and rewards. Excluding the loot and the salvage that you can also still pick up. And that was the second room cleared. Drones back in the hold. Before I warp in, I will just reload my mission missiles and warp into the next room.
Drive active.
There we go. Yeah, still have more than half. Okay, in this room there are sentry guns and one battleship. The only thing you need to do is take out the battleship, and then you can activate the acceleration gate. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Just only kill this battleship. The rest we will just ignore. Because the bounties on those things are only like 50k compared to the battleship. Takes too much time to basically make it an efficient room. Shouldn't take long, this battleship. There's no additional spawns in this room, just the sentry guns and the one battleship. And basically almost every time you land within the acceleration activation range. So once you're done, return your drones. Once they are returned, select the gate, activate it.
Drive
just an extra reload, so to have it full up again. Into the fourth room. I think that's the second last one. Yeah, that's the second last one. The same scenario here. Frigates first. Always. So let's just first wait that they aggress my ships. Yes. Getting target painted doesn't really matter. I'm already a big ship, so the damage will hit me anyway. I think they don't know yet. Okay, this will be fire. It's also retrogress now. High chance that I don't get target switched anymore to my drones. Only the two cruisers could be doing that, so I have to keep an eye open still, just in case. Engage. Putting the missiles on the cruiser. I'm getting webified. That's not the problem. Webify can actually work in your advantage because you're having a lower speed. If you were traveling, for example, with velocity, it would make aligning faster if you're getting webified because you have a lower velocity, making your align times faster. The only real problem is scrambling. That's a real bitch. That's a really big bitch. Return to drone bay. And then I can start to use my heavy drones on this puppy. Which one is the trigger? I think it is the warlords. Usually you think, oh, the close one is the trigger, but it's reverse. The one furthest away is usually not the trigger and the closest is. Because the natural response will be to kill everything that's coming in range of you close by. Could be mistaken, but that's my theory. If you're not sure which one is the trigger, we'll find out if that's true. What I was just babbling about. I have nothing else to say anyway during this mission because I've already told all the basics so far that you need to know for this mission and in general. Oh, it was the trigger. Oh well, doesn't matter. We've seen this pattern before. We can tank this. Just putting the missiles out. And then we can also send in the drones. Only the battleships are having yellow brackets so far, so that shouldn't be a problem for the light drones. We just need to take them out first. I'm only just not sure which one is the trigger now. There's 4 battleships. -1. Oh, I still have to need to lock one up. Let's have a quick look at third pocket. The Nephilim should be the trigger according to this Wikipedia. But I don't see a Nephilim. Should be the Nephilim. Commander General. Commander General. War General. I think this one is the trigger. Sometimes it's hard to tell which one is the trigger. I think one of these two could be it. War General and Commander. At least we had the right order. just reload now. Just in case. Three battleships, yeah, I have more than enough buffer yet to take down the rest, if there's a next spawn coming right now. Oh, there's the next spawn, but they're far away. I think I should be able to take down one battleship first, before they arrive. Already locking up the frigates. As you can see, if you do it the wrong way, you end up with a lot of ships surrounding you and get easily overwhelmed. I think I will work on the this initial spawn first before I get into the frigates, because this setup has proven that I can tank 3 battleships and the light support that comes with it. So if I take out this previous spawn first, I should be able to tank these 5 puppies. But that's all based on experience. Of course, your experience will be different skills, different strategy, different modules, tech versions, all comes into play. How you can vary your strategy at some point. I'm just showing you also that there is variation possible. It all depends on the situation. Sometimes you basically you first always take out the frigates, but you can deviate from it in certain circumstances. Also, because we already saw in the previous room, like I told already, we are able to tank 3 battleships and 2 smaller ships. So if we take out this one, we're fine. And then I can slowly work on the frigates and then the battleships. All in all, I'm really impressed with this, because I haven't flown for a long time in a Tech 1 fitted Tech 1 battleship. And to be honest, it almost takes down the mission as fast as a fully Tech 2 fitted Tech 2 battleship. There's not a real big difference, to be honest. Of course there's a difference, but not to a point that it makes a huge difference. Makes the experience a lot smoother with the Tech 2 battleships or Tech 2 fitting. You can do it a little bit faster, but survivability wise, it's not much of a big difference, I see. I'll just keep my missiles for now. How many do I have? Not too many. I only bought 1,000 just to make this video. Usually I bring about 5k with me. So I have missiles for a couple of missions in my hold. But I still have other damage times also, so I can still use those in case I run out of explosive. Not as effective, but it still does the job. Like kinetic is their second weakness, so that's also pretty good. Well, as you can see, I haven't been moving at all. The only thing that I did moving was moving to the acceleration gate and then just sit still. And the tank, well, in the first part it slightly got to like 1/5 gone, but it never got lower than that. Let's look at the resists. 8461. As you can see, thermal and EM don't get any boost from the reactive because they don't shoot that kind of damage. It's only explosive and a bit kinetic, and that's get boosted extra. And the next puppy. And then we're ready to go to the next room, I think. I think this is the last spawn of this 4th room. Then there is a 5th room. And if a certain tag drops in the loot, I think it's palladium or one type of tag, then you can enable the bonus room. Basically, it unlocks the bonus room if you have that specific tag in your cargo hold. I usually just skip that bonus room because it's more efficient. If you're going for ISK and standing increase and LPs, it's better to do the missions more quick, to finish them quickly instead of extending. But for fun and with the group, it can be nice to do the bonus room now and then. If you're solo, especially in your early days, I would skip the bonus room. Oh, another spawn. Surprise, surprise. And there's a little frigate. It's not really a hefty spawn. It's 1 battleship, 3 cruiser, and 1 destroyer. Shouldn't take long. Just letting them aggress me a bit first. And then I go for this puppy here. Because it has yellow brackets. Could be still switching targets to drones, so I want this one out as first. Goes really quick. And the next. And the next. I think they should then be the last battleship of the last wave in this room. If not, more bounties, more loot, good for your wallets. The more ships in a mission, the better. You just need to make sure that you can take them out in a controllable manner. And that was the last of them. Reload. I think I have just enough missiles to complete it. And let's get into the final room. I know this is a very long mission, 40 minutes already. Tech 2 fitting and Tech 2 drones, you should be able to complete it maybe 10 minutes faster, about 30 minutes. Yeah, this is the last room. You get the transmission also. And this is basically the gate to the bonus room, but you need a special tag for that. Let me remember correctly. Do they spawn at intervals? Not sure anymore. No, I think it's the same triggers with the battleships. I think in the level 3 version of this one, all the spawns are already there, so they don't spawn with triggers. But in level 4, they still trigger. Alright, cruise missile, just popped it in one volley. Don't even need to use the drones. And the funny thing is, this ship doesn't have cruise missile bonuses. Drone bonuses, so... let's lock up the battleships now too. I'll send the drone here. The last spawn is the leader, which has some very nasty webifying drones, but I don't care about those. They don't hurt, they only slow you down. And I can reach them from any range, but within 100 kilometers that is. So, doesn't matter if they whip me, I'll just sit here. Alright, battleship time. And then in this case I was lucky that this one is the spawn. Trigger. As you can see, 6.9 million bounties already. Gets into your wallet every 10-15 minutes or so, I think. So there will be more once I finish this mission. Definitely returning. A lot of cruisers in this spawn, I see, and only one battleship. It's good, of course, because battleships do the most damage. Just don't underestimate a group of cruisers in a mission, because they will kill you in time. I think I will just use the heavy. The destroyers are easy pickups for heavy drones also. Just the small frigates, especially the ones that scramble and web, that are having a very small signature. And then you really need to use the light drones, because they hit those targets a lot easier, and therefore more damage is being applied to them. No, don't do the battleship drones. Focus on this one, please. And the next cruiser. Like I said, dictating which targets they attack first is very important in the mission. because if I hadn't done that, especially in the first 2 rooms, I would have warped off. I needed to have warped off because I couldn't tank that amount of 3-4 spawns at the same time. It would be too much. And if you then get warp scrambled, then you're in some trouble. Alright. Decision time. Well, I just used the last 3 cruise missiles on this one. And then I'm going to reload by the time the last cruiser is down, possibly. And then I have a fresh load of missiles for the last battleship. Let's do it anyway. And I have a good amount of missiles ready for the next spawn before this battleship dies. It's all micromanagement at some point when you get more experience. Those little small deviations and decisions you make based on playstyle.
The module has run out of charges.
And as you can see, level 4 missions take considerably longer than a level 3 and are a lot more complicated when it comes to triggers and spawns and knowing which ship does what, taking out the warp scrambler frigates in time. That's why I want to give some extra attention to level 4 missions. In level 1, 2 and 3s you can get away with a lot of mistakes. In level 4s, even one crucial mistake can make a difference between surviving or sitting in your pod next to your wreck. Well, the Webifiers will Webify, so the Viper is primary from the frigates, because he could potentially be warp scrambling. Names give it away sometimes. Viper. And we go for the thermals. If those Webifier frigates switch targets to the drones, they Webify your drone also. So that makes it very difficult for them to return in time, at least one of them or two. Keep that in mind. Especially if they're under fire and then being webbed, then they're pretty easily to get toasted. Alright, Saint Warlord. I think the Warlord is the trigger because there's only one of them. When there's multiple battleships, look for the one that only has one of them. Especially if there's multiple with the same name, then the one with only one of them is potentially the trigger. And of course you can always make notes yourself during a mission, so you know for yourself in which mission which NPC is the trigger in a certain room. I recommend yourself taking notes for yourself. Yep, as expected. The Saints are not the trigger. But you can see they do pretty hefty damage. you can see that also by the amount of bounty you get. They have higher bounties. So usually the higher the bounties, the harder they hit and the harder they're to take down, because they have more hit points, more resists. It's very confusing because the trigger has a lower bounties, a lower resists. So you're easily fooled to attack this one. And that's the trap you don't have to fall into. Just take out these one first. Engage. Now the more easy one, which is the trigger. How do I know? It's the only battleship left, so it should be the trigger. Okay, cruise missiles reloaded, just to be having a good amount for the next spawn, just in case. In general, I'm personally always having a very conservative and defensive playstyle, trying to rule out all the nasty surprises and having my guns loaded full enough just in case. And there is the last NPC with those Webify drones I talked about. I'll just leave those Webify drones alone at first, because I don't need to kill them to stay alive. Diogo, on the other hand, named NPCs, will hurt me. Let's zoom in a little bit. You see the nice graphics from the Webifiers. I'm not going anywhere anyway, so you keep doing that. That was what you were designed to do, Webify me. I'll just take out your friend in the meantime. And mission complete. I don't even need to take down those spider drones, so I won't, because they don't give any bounty, they don't withhold me from warping off. They're not worth my time. Time is money in Eve and Isco Force. So just waiting for the drones to get back. My odd behavior of reloading, even if I'm completed with the mission, and I'll just warp off. If I would not be making a movie, I would be bookmarking one wreck in each room. So if I finish the mission despawns, but I still have the location of the wrecks of each room. So I can just come back later in a salvage ship and start salvaging all the wrecks. As long as I do it within 3 hours or so, 2 or 3 hours. Because after 2 or 3 hours the wrecks will just stop existing, they just disappear. Well, that was a level 4. Really confident now that this ship setup is solid, even for newer players to run the more difficult level 4 missions easy if you keep your head with it. So once you're up to this level, get this beautiful ship and start running some missions. I'm going to dock up and finish the mission. We all know the drill by now, so
Overdrive
see you
active.
next time.